Hello and welcome to the Enoro studio on day 2 at Charge 2016, the world's first energy branding conference. We're joined now by Anders Lier, Chief Executive Officer of Enoro and actually friend of Enoro, so to speak. Yes. How are you doing, Anders?
Thank you, I'm doing great. Great to be here, thank you.
Exactly. It's good. It's really good to hear from you, Anders, and have you here. You've been quite active on social media and you just spoke today as well on the conference. So I think it's a great place to start with. What was your view of the conference so far in terms of the key talking points or standout, discussions so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's the world's first energy branding conference, as you said, and it's a privilege to be part of some of the pioneers being here. And I mean, when we talk to clients across Europe, I mean, branding is not a subject. It's very, very few talks about it, but of course branding is a key element to win the hearts and minds of the energy consumers. So obviously we have some great pioneers here which has done world-class best practices. So I think the job is now to take it to the next practices.
Okay. One of the key standout points was the new energy consumer. It was quite surprising because at a branding event, you'd imagine that it would be retailers talking most, but we found the TSOs and DSOs coming forward.
Oh, yeah.
With a view on what the new energy consumer looks like. Now, your blogs on Enoro have covered a number of these subjects, so some would say you've been talking about this for ages. Please.
Yeah, I mean, I love customers, and I mean, who are the dominant force of this industry now? It's the new energy consumer. And the power is actually moved from the players to the energy consumer. And why? Because people don't really see energy as a commodity anymore. They see energy as a lifestyle. And look at the millennials. I mean, they are tech savvy. They are environmental, thinking about the environment a lot, and they're also cost conscious, and they are always online, real time. So you need to relate to those consumers, and they have the technology now to actually make the choices themselves.
Well, that's really interesting that you've broken it down that way into 4 touch points. My videographer is actually nodding in the background. I think you won yourself a new customer potentially. Let's touch on one of those points, the constantly engaged millennial, the future consumer. And last year it was customer engagement. This year it's customer centricity. I think it's the same stuff. What do you think?
I completely agree with you. It's the same stuff. What really matters is whether you care about your customer or not. You need to win the hearts and the minds of the energy consumer. And they have different drivers, of course they have, but there are some commonalities, and we see the underlying trends. We saw it today, we discussed it today. We discussed a lot about green, a lot about sustainability. I even linked this to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And development goals number 7 is that we should have reliable, modern, affordable and clean energy for all. That's a key. I mean, we just have one planet. There's no plan B, there's no planet B. So we need to actually deliver on this one and follow the new energy consumer and their perspective on how they would like to buy energy going forward.
Okay. Well, you've already killed my next question. We're talking about sustainability
Sorry about that.
in detail. But that's fine. I did have a backup question for you.
Okay, good.
And look, it's very easy to paint a picture of this very straightforward system, the energy thing, make it nice and customer engaged and everything works. But it's a complex system.
Oh, yeah.
In this ecosystem, there are suppliers, there are transmission and distribution companies, there are also solution providers along the way. So it's clearly a complex system. One of the key things in this bubble is data and analytics. Obviously, from a grid excellence point of view, grid operators have been doing quite a lot with that on their assets. Now, Enoro has been at the forefront of pushing data and data analytics use cases. Can you kind of link how this, comes together, especially in the context of customer engagement, stronger brand power, and even brand value?
Yeah. Good point, good question. I'll try to respond to it. I mean, first of all, we in Enoro, we have a vision to create a personalized energy experience. And that is actually an energy experience for each individual. So it's not one experience which is common to everyone. I mean, people don't want to be a metering point. Who cares about that? We want to be touched upon where we are in the life cycle of our lives, what our preferences, what are our needs. But you cannot really change what you don't know. So of course you need to have data. And we are pretty privileged. We come from the most advanced energy market in the world, the Nordics. And we had 100% coverage of smart meters in Finland, one of the first country in the world actually. So we have learned a lot and drilled on this data for a long time to look into smart meter use cases and see how we could relate that to the energy consumer as individuals. And of course, that's a big opportunity for the utilities. So if they spend time listening to the customer, analyzing, using analytics, and I think it's also not only about understanding the specific needs right now, but it's also about learning over time. So of course we bring in highly advanced technology like machine learning, deep learning, and artificial intelligence into the solution. So you could be even more specific to meet the energy consumers' requirements.
It's quite interesting you mentioned Finland. I recall one of our webinars on Beyond Metadata and into predictive analytics, and we had Ossi Pori.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly, and he was talking about his work in that space. Do check that out on the website. And also Enoro's webinar on the next generation utility. Look, again, you paint a really good picture, right? But how do you kind of bring these things together? Because it's quite interesting. We had Casey Boyce talk about metrics. Metrics will be the big definer for branding and marketing activities going forward. Now, you guys have got metrics down to a T.
Oh, yeah.
You've got data for days.
Yeah.
How do you kind of bring these things together? Because to me, these are two very different worlds, right?
Yeah. But and we have been collecting data for more than 2 years from the smart meters. Every hour we get the data in, and it's in a big cloud, very highly advanced, very modern, and it's scalable, of course. But I think the trick is that you need to kind of relate it to the needs of the energy consumer and the utilities. So we need to develop use cases which are relevant. And what is important for a retailer? Of course, it's customer loyalty, customer churn, it's how you forecast, etc., etc. So we are working very close with our customers to make the use cases which are relevant for the specific needs. You cannot make a generic approach. You need to make it relevant for the energy consumer and how the utility could respond to that. So that's our path going forward.
Well, I think that's a brilliant place for us to bring this interview to a close, Anders.
Thank you very much.
Thank you as well. To you listening, if you missed the secret sauce, then you need to rewind. And I'm not even going to tell you, okay? Just rewind now and listen again. But thank you anyway for listening and getting to this point. If you want to learn more about data analytics, flexible cloud-based architectures, and more importantly, brand and customer engagement, please check out the other interviews and the link on the screen. Thank you.